More on that later in the hour. Are you in support of Katie Price, a.k.a. Jordan, when she appeared on ITV yesterday?
And I was young when I had Harvey, and I admitted that if I knew he was blind before I had him, as harsh as it sounds, I probably would have aborted him. Because to me, it's like, oh my God, it's blind, how would I cope?
And it was fear of the unknown, of
Well,
course.
of course,
Yeah.
I know that sounds harsh, but now it's like, oh my God, no way. If I got pregnant again and they said your child's going to have disabilities or anything, I'll definitely keep it. I would even adopt a child with disabilities. Until you're in that situation, you don't know.
She goes on to say, I absolutely love Harvey so much, I wouldn't change anything about him. It is challenging, but it's also rewarding. He's a great character. Her admission has drawn praise from many viewers, but others, of course, are not that happy. Just to share with you, Harvey is 13. He has a rare genetic condition called Prader-Willi syndrome, as well as autism, ADHD and blindness, but his mum's been nothing but supportive of him. Comments such as those, how do they help the cause of people who are wrestling with key decisions? Catherine Quarmby wrote, Scapegoat, Why We Are Failing Disabled People. As former news editor of the magazine Disability Now and joins me now. When you heard what Katie Price said, how did you react?
I think it's refreshing to hear someone like Katie Price, who's in the public eye, talk about these issues really openly. And we know that I think around 500 fetuses with Down syndrome are terminated every year. And, of course, under the Abortion Act, you can abort, as Katie Price said, you can abort a disabled fetus right up to the moment of birth. So it's a different situation compared to a non-disabled fetus. Now, what she said, and it's important to actually listen to what she said, was that before she had her son, who was then named Harvey and became an individual to her, she would have considered termination. After that point, when he became an individual to her, who she obviously very much loves, she would not have considered that as an option. And I think that's the important point, is that she then changed her attitude towards disability because he became her son who she loves. And I actually think that's very, very important, you know, that when people actually have a disabled child, they very often change their attitude towards disability. So I actually welcome the fact she's been so open and honest.
Stay on the line, if you would. Listening is Rhoslyn Thomas, who's with a Youth and Education Officer at the Society for the Protection of the Unborn Children. Same question to you, if I may. How did you react when you heard what the former model has said?
Hi, good morning. Yes, I think that my first reaction to what Katie Price was saying is that she really shows by her reaction before she had Harvey and afterwards that we can't base people's right to life and the right to life of unborn children, be they disabled or not, on our feelings. Rather, they have an inherent right to life. Actually, her reaction shows that if she had aborted him when she was afraid, if she had known that he was disabled before he was born, that is, if she had aborted him beforehand, she would have made a huge mistake and actually taken away his right to life. And afterwards, she realised that, as she said, you know, there are lots of struggles with children with disabilities, but also lots of rewards, and she would have lost out on that and deprived him of his life, the only life he'll ever have.
But a mum-to-be should have the right, if there is some form of serious disability, a mum-to-be should have the right to make a decision, shouldn't she?
I don't think she should, because the fact is that when we say that, we're saying that we own our children, that we get to decide who lives and who dies. And I think in any other situation we would say that's not right.
But if the mum thinks she just can't physically, emotionally cope with a severely disabled child, wouldn't it be fair to say that it's in everyone's interest that you consider termination?
Well, with all due respect, isn't that what Katie Price said that she would have felt before she had Harvey, that she would have been afraid, that she would have felt she couldn't cope, and in the end she had him. She didn't know he had this disability. She had him, and she was fine. We can't see into the future. We don't know how we're going to react, and I think we should have faith in ourselves and faith in mothers who are often very strong and resilient women, and I think we do women a disservice when we say that they can't cope with children with disabilities.
But if the woman thinks she can't cope, maybe she's right.
Well, but maybe she's wrong, and perhaps if she feels she can't cope, that's a cry out to society for us to help her.
So you would want to live in a country where the state effectively mandates the mother to have a child, even if she doesn't think she can cope with the disability?
I want to live in a state where we say to mothers, you are not on your own. There's the responsibility of raising your child who has a special need is the responsibility of everybody in society.
No. The child. It's not the Let's be candid with each other. It's not the responsibility of everyone. That child who's going to get severely ill in the middle of the night, or severely ill, or whatever it might be in and out of hospital, whatever. It's going to be the responsibility of the mum and hopefully the dad, isn't it?
Well,
the sleepless nights, the worrying, the tears, the grief, the concern, the pain, the anguish, the bewilderment at various hospital waiting rooms and surgeries with clinicians, that's going to be borne principally by the mum and hopefully the dad, isn't it?
Well, I've got 2 points here. First of all, we do believe that looking after each other is the responsibility of society, hence why we pay taxes to the NHS and it all goes into the pot and we all take out of the same pot. Secondly, no parent is promised that they won't have anxiety, they won't have long waits.
No, I get all that.
You take on with parenthood.
Right, of course. But for many people, going in with a severely disabled baby that becomes hopefully a severely disabled child is just a burden they could not bear. Surely they have the right to say that.
No, I don't believe they do have the right to decide over somebody else's life.
Stay on the line. I just want to bring Catherine. I've kept Catherine Cornby out too long. Catherine, how do you respond to what you're hearing?
I do not think you can force a woman to carry a child to term that they do not want after a certain period. You are already hearing with the Zika virus in Brazil of these poor children being abandoned because of the Catholic Church, meaning that women are not allowed abortions in Brazil. So these poor children are being abandoned. Do you really think that is a good option? And, that is partly because microcephaly, disability is not seen as something shameful in Brazil, but it's also because women are not allowed to have terminations. Now, microcephaly, is something that people can live with, and people can live fruitful lives. But if disability is seen as something shameful, then people will abandon their children, and so therefore women have to have a right over their own bodies. It's absolutely appalling that people think that they can dictate to women whether or not they carry a fetus to term.
Let's get Rhoslyn Thomas back. Response to that, Rhoslyn Thomas?
Yeah, I'd just like to respond that you rightly point out that it's terrible that somebody should view a disability as shameful. And yet, aren't we actually promoting the idea that disability is shameful by saying, oh, you must be able to have an abortion, particularly in the case where the baby has a disability? What are we saying about disability there? We're saying disability is such a terrible thing. The fact that people with disabilities and severe disabilities exist in society is so awful that a mother should be able to kill her unborn child in order to avoid that. We're actually promoting that idea.
Catherine.
Okay, so we in this country, as you may know, we have termination. It's legal for any fetus. Okay, and for disability, it's legal up to birth. We're not here to debate the Abortion Act per se. Okay, but you in your organisation, you want to get rid of abortion for every fetus. You have ulterior motives. I don't agree with them. I think a woman has a right to determine what happens in her own body. And so you have an ulterior motive here, which is that women do not have that right, and I will defend that right.
Yeah, I don't actually have an ulterior motive. I'm very open. We're very open about the fact that, yes, we want to abolish abortion for all children. We want equality for all children.
As well. For rape.
But
for women who've been raped.
We're not actually discussing the Abortion Act.
But would you do that for women who've been raped? For women who've been raped, you'd expect them to carry a baby to term?
I don't discriminate against children conceived in rape, no.
Women who've been raped would have to carry that baby to term as well.
I think you should speak to women who have been raped, who have carried their babies to term, and ask them how much they love their children.
So you're saying a woman who has been raped, you would force them to carry that fetus to term?
I would not force anybody to do anything. I would not permit for a child to be killed. But we're here to discuss about disability, I do believe. So I think we should probably return to the subject of disability. And as you say, we're not here to discuss the rights and wrongs of the Abortion Act. You have a wider remit, which I think you should be more open about. We are very open about it. Please do go and look at our website and look at our literature. We're very proud of the fact that we would like all equality for all unborn children and all human beings from conception to natural death. That's what we want to do. We want to protect human life from conception to natural death, and that includes the disabled, who are considered the least of all unborn children and the least deserving of life. And I think that Katie Price has made a wonderful point with discussing her son Harvey, that he is a wonderful addition to her life, and that her life would be very much poorer without him.
And I must leave it there. My thanks to both of you. You heard initially from Catherine Quarmby, who wrote Scapegoat, Why We Are Failing Disabled People. She was executive on the magazine Disability Now. And Rhoslyn Thomas is the Youth and Education Officer at the Society for the Protection of Unborn Children. Right, over to you. Katie Price's comments and the broader conversation touched on by two contributors.